My name is Natalie Kingston, and I'm here at Camera Homage with my TV series Blackbird. The main source of inspiration, like sort of my visual thesis, came from this photo series by Gordon Parks called The Atmosphere of Crime, and that series was taken in around 1957 and over different cities and different prisons. And that informed the color palette, a lot of the lighting choices, and the overall look of Blackbird. During an interview with the director, I'll come to the interview with just a series of images or perhaps a lookbook already made, and definitely some ideas of my perspective of how I see the film play out visually. And then that evolves from there. So I might, make a lookbook in the beginning, but that grows and evolves as the process goes on during pre-production. Every project requires something different. Every story is totally different. So it's really about extracting what the visual metaphors are and how those concepts, those visual concepts, make up the visual language. And that all stems from the story and the themes. So it's distilling, the major themes and the emotions of the character and transforming and translating that into visuals and using the tools of cinematography, composition, lenses, lighting, color, all of that to speak the visual language of the film. Blackbird is inspired by a true story. It centers around this guy named Jimmy Keene who was thrown in jail for a bunch of drugs and weapons, got a 10-year sentence. Pretty early on in his sentence, the FBI approached him and made him a deal. If he were to transfer to this prison for the criminally insane and elicit a confession from a serial killer, Larry Hall, then they'd set him free. So the series is about this very dark, weird relationship between these two prisoners. As the series progresses, as Jimmy Keene gets deeper into his relationship with Larry Hall, very dark things are revealed from Larry, and we learn we go deep, we do a deep dive into his psyche, and we see how messed up his childhood was. He tells stories about how he murdered and raped these women at a very young age. And so the lighting sort of reflects that sort of dark path, and it gets darker and moodier and more contrasty, especially in the prison. In terms of camera and format, I knew pretty early on, it was sort of a gut instinct that this needed to be a large format show. It's so character driven. We spend a lot of time inside these conversations with these two characters. And so I thought that wider field of view with the 2-to-1 aspect ratio could create just a vast landscape, with these faces of these characters. And I felt that with that canvas, that large format canvas, I felt that the audience could really pick up on and be immersed in the very nuanced expressions from Larry Hall and Jimmy Keene. We shot around a 2.8/4 most of the time. I didn't want the backgrounds to go completely shallow. I wanted to really provide context and where we were at, and I wanted it to feel visceral and not really surreal or anything like that. So I felt like being around like a 2.8, 2.8/4 felt right. It wasn't even like specifically that I wanted to be a cinematographer, but that I wanted to tell stories with the camera. I was around 10 years old when I got my hands on my parents' video camera, which was a VHS camcorder. And that idea really stuck with me, and it made an impression on me. And I was a very creative child, like always creating these productions like musicals and circuses or little radio shows. It was always something. Nothing was ever like simple. So the camera was just like another tool, was another layer. So it's like, oh, I could take these little plays that I'm making and they could become like a movie. I started working at a TV station and I had a little TV show there, a documentary style, where I shot and edited and directed and did everything. A couple years after that, I was able to get on my first film set as film started to come to Louisiana, got its tax credits, and things started to shoot. So I worked as a camera assistant for a short time. And then that's sort of when I realized what a cinematographer did, and that role even existed. And a light bulb sort of went off. After that, just shooting everything I could to get experience, you know, starting with short films and music videos and then documentaries, and then finally my first feature film, and then it just slowly but surely evolved and grew from there.